Good afternoon. My name is Daniel. Some of you may know me. I am the dungeon master for our game that we play here on Frankly I Don't Give a Fork Legion every Thursday. I wanted to take a moment to go and talk to all of you to go and say good afternoon, good morning. I hope that your weekends are going well. But to kind of give you a little bit of a heads up on what we're going to be talking about today. One of the big things is allowing you all to go and know that the material that we cover here is meticulously researched, cross patterned, and in many cases peer reviewed. We want you to know that because today is going to be one of those more touchier subjects. It is the continuation of our episode about cults. In many cases, when we think of cults, we think of just these crazy lunatic people that are all involved and just a bunch of dummies that just had this happen to them. But the fact is, cults are a lot more powerful than that. And I think it's important that we take a second to maybe step back and take a look at what that means. So today, I am not taking the reins. One of my co commentators, Francisco, or Frankenpuss as you may know him, is going to be running the show. He's a lot more well versed in the subject matter, and I will be here as a person to launch questions and to make terrible faces when we hear the real bad news and stuff like that. But today, we're going to go and talk about QAnon, in many circles known as Q. I mention this because cults are a powerful thing. The desire to be part of something bigger than yourself, to be part of a group of like minded people, can truly make people lose themselves. And that is the power of the seduction of the cult. Losing family, losing friends, losing all of your personal possessions. These are real things. These are real things that happen. The people that we talk about are real people. This is the difference between something wicked and Legion. Legion, it's all games. It's all fun. It's all people that we play with and characters that I make silly voices for. But when we're working on the subject matter of something wicked, these are real people. And I want us to remember that. So before we heckle and before we make fun, let's really take a look at what we're talking about. With that being said, I also wanted to go and say thank you for everyone that has been tuning in and watching, everyone that has taken a moment to go and say hi, everyone that's been joining our Discord, people that have been going onto our Patreon. It's really, really great. And to let you all know, Something Wicked will be coming back this Halloween with a Halloween special on the Zodiac Killer and the possibility of his actual identity being revealed. Which, mind you, not only do we want to talk about that, we also want to go and talk about the other potential witnesses, or, well, forgive me, other potentials that the Zodiac may just be. It's a lot. So, with that being said, we just wanted to go and say thanks. Wanted to go and give you a minute, allow you to go and sit with me for just a moment. And we're going to play a little video for you to kind of decompress and enjoy. And again, thank you. And for a moment, let us all prick our thumbs for something wicked this way comes. Thanks again.
Transfer in 3, 2.
And hello, folks. Welcome to a new special episode of Something Wicked, where I will be hosting today. Xanaris will be our guest, coming in blind, and also with us is Grim. But first, a mandatory intro. As William Shakespeare once said, by the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes.
Wake up.
So, with me today, we have Emily, aka Frankly, co founder of our channel, our editor, and our lead for map making and storyteller for the upcoming Vampire Masquerade game, The Highborn Thief, which will be debuting tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Yes.
Oh boy.
Also with us today, we have Grim, aka Grimjaw1, co host of Watch Us Die and regaler and keeper of Florida Man news and lore.
Been very sad.
Florida
recently.
man.
Or creepy, not funny.
Both. Tragic comedy, I would say.
No, I was saying last few days.
Oh, well,
Attempted kidnappings and all that.
yeesh.
Oh boy.
But also here today with us, because let's not forget our very important guest today, Daniel, aka Xanaris, our legendary DM for our Legion D&D Let's Play, which you can catch on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and also usually our lead for Something Wicked and a sip of Xanaris right here on this channel. Everybody say hi, introduce yourselves.
Hi. Hey everybody. You've all seen my silly face before, so this time I didn't have to do any research. I didn't have to go look at any of this really depressing stuff. And I've left it over to Frankenpuss to go and do the jam. And to be honest with you, I'm kind of glad because this one's a rough one. So,
It will be.
Yeah.
But
which is funny, but hey.
But a quick little word to our audience. Today, as I'm sure you're all well aware, we will be talking about QAnon. Now, this will inevitably get a bit political. So I feel like I want to point out that all of us here at Frankly I Don't Give a Fork, we all hold different political views, different political alignments, and which is great because we respect each other even if we don't always see eye to eye. So to my guests, any of you who are comfortable, if you could tell us a little bit about yourselves and your political views, you can be as vague and specific as you would like.
Oh, I'll throw my iron in the fire if anyone else wants to. I identify as a democratic socialist.
Me too.
I solely feel that the Democratic Party is weak and it needs to strengthen itself to be able to go and fight the opposing forces against it. But I also feel that medicine should be free. And you should never have to go and mortgage your home to go and pay for cancer treatment. And that's where I stand on that. And I want gay folks to be able to go and buy weed and get married and protect themselves with their Second Amendment guns. It really is just as
Great. And Grim, if you could give us a quick rundown, if you feel comfortable.
Sure. I see myself as conservative. I was brought up in a conservative household. Like for reference, like my father is a conservative, but my aunt is a different kind of conservative. As in she's like a devout Catholic. This is how it is. If you do not agree with me, this is wrong. Here are books. You'll read them and then agree with me. Yes.
Oh no.
Like an example, 2000 when Trump was first elected, my brother jokingly said, even, "Oh, I didn't vote for so and so." She's like, "Oh, you didn't?" Not taking it as a joke, being very literal. Next day, 3 books appeared saying you will read these and you'll see the flaw in the flaw in your statement, basically.
Oh my.
But personally, always being a history lover, I always say that my alignment's probably closer to Eisenhower than Reagan, but I have no qualm. For most part, I don't have any qualms with Reagan either. Just I associate myself more with Eisenhower and what he did.
I see that.
Fair to say, fair to say. And to our wonderful producer and my lovely spouse, Emily.
I too identify as democratic socialist, leaning more towards socialist than Democratic Party. I too am a strong believer in Medicare for all and higher taxes for the wealthy. The making, after you make $10 million, I think you should start paying extra funds to help with lower income families and middle class families. I am an avid uh, fan of Medicare for all, for subsidized homes, for subsidized and food because that's essential, and water. Um, but I also see a lot of counterpoints that Grimm has brought up in the past. Like, it's a fine line to walk. It really is.
And just
It's
so the audience doesn't think I'm trying to dodge or evade, I myself, it's a little hard to narrow down specifically. I know I'm very much what many would consider on the far left. I tend to alternate between socialism and anarchism. That would be a very lengthy discussion for another time because most people, you say anarchism, they're thinking skate punks, whereas I'm thinking 19th century German authors like Mikhail Bakunin. But that's a
We're not
whole
gonna
tangent.
we're not gonna burn down the town square and go and create unlawfulness everywhere, Francisco. I don't understand.
What?
I said Bakunin,
What?
not Max Stirner. Dang it!
I just
That's a
you
deep cut for you philosophy nerds.
you anarchist people, pick a lane, damn it, pick a lane.
Well,
or be in Italy and do what you want.
that's a whole thing that not the time or place right now, because right now what we are going to be talking about is QAnon, which, oh boy, this is going to be a doozy of an episode, ladies and gentlemen. And
So
first I just want to open up by elaborating on something. Well, before I do, let me ask, what do you
So let's see.
what knowledge do you whoa, we're having technical problems. And we're back.
I was preparing for the future commercial break and it went to commercial. Sorry.
All good, all good. So the question, so what do you know about QAnon? How do you feel when QAnon is brought up? We'll start with Grim. Grim?
I know very little other than the, I guess, is mainstream like conspiracies about them and what happened on January 6th about saying they're one of the major instigators in the QAnon shaman or whatever that
Mhm.
dude was called. Other than that, it's just running jokes between friends saying, okay, if they're doing this, how badly will it defend? Is it a good idea? Hell no. Let's see how far they'll go. This might be funny.
Wow, that's actually really interesting that they see this more of a comedic point of view that you've seen.
Just because they see it's so absurd and that they know they're not probably gonna get it in the end, but they're gonna try. But their methodology is just so odd.
Wonky,
Mm-hmm.
yes.
It's like you see their end goal in theory, but the
Mhm.
methodology just like about the end goal. We have other plans.
Oh, and we'll get into that. Trust me.
That's all I know.
Which I think when we get into that, Grim, your knowledge is going to really shine through here because there are so many similarities to. Well, we'll get to
Yeah.
that
Well,
later.
let's.
Just like, I didn't read up on it.
Daniel, thoughts, feelings on QAnon?
so I'm going to be the first person to kind of go and throw out the unpleasantries. The only thing I know about QAnon is that they are borderline on the path of becoming a full out detriment to the people around them. I do put QAnon in the same group of people as I put flat earthers. And it's one of those things that I have very little love for the political ideology and the way that they go about it. The only things that from what I believe I know is that these were the people who started Pizzagate.
Indirectly, yes, but we'll get into
And
that too a little bit.
and from my understanding, they were also believing that Trump at one time was going to take over the government after the election or something like that.
That's a bit of a split in the party, but
Yeah, it's actually you're not wrong, but it gets surprisingly more complicated than that even.
I
so
have no idea. I have no doubt.
so
So it's
to
that's
quick
pretty much where I'm at.
to quickly answer Cheshire Mad in the comments section, what
Ooh.
the fuck is Pizzagate?
Ah,
Oh god.
I was wondering that too. I have no
would you like
idea.
me to elaborate a little, because this is one thing I actually know a little bit about.
Yeah, this time I will temporarily hand the reins over to Daniel.
Back to
Hi.
Daniel. This is a comfortable
Temporarily.
seat for you, right?
So I was gonna go ahead and say, so this is where it gets a little bit funny. So Pizzagate, and Fran, feel free to go and fill in the holes, because I this is literally what I know about it. So Pizzagate was pretty much supposedly a place where children are being um trafficked
Mm-hmm.
in the basement of this pizzeria
Yes.
that does not have a basement.
It does not have a basement, which is the whole cornerstone to this theory.
To the whole thing was that they were being brought into their basement, and the building has no basement.
Mhm.
Somehow, some way, Hillary Clinton was involved.
Oh, she wasn't just
And
involved, she was wearing the children's faces.
Yes.
This is starting to ring bells now.
Yes.
I don't.
Yes, because according to conspiracy theorists, Hillary Clinton was producer. Feel free to stop me if I'm crossing a line.
Sure.
According to conspiracy theorists, Hillary Clinton was literally, personally executing children at gunpoint and then cutting their faces off and wearing them like masks.
It is
Okay, that
important
part I
to
did not hear
say
about.
legally, allegedly. This is allegedly, and there has been no proof of this. But we legally have to say allegedly.
Yes. Keep those
I
lawsuits
have
away.
I oh god. Okay.
But that's
There's
only the
that.
beginning of Pizzagate.
Oh yes.
I know, but that's pretty much where the brunt of my information is
Oh
that.
no.
But yeah.
So for me, Francisco and I, as you know, and the audience might not know, we're married. He's like right there to me. He watches the news on the street level, and I watch more of the
What I call the halls of power. What's
Yes.
going on in
So
Washington?
I
and
will
such.
watch a lot of counterattack news. What is the one that Rebecca's in? The Newsweek, TYT. A lot of I forget the other one that she's in.
Yeah.
But I'll be watching a lot, which they do mention QAnon a fair bit. But my knowledge is pretty extensive just because osmosis with Francisco and what I've been seeing from
Yes.
news broadcasts.
There is a surprising amount of crossover between our two worlds because since I follow what I call the street level politics, usually that involves fascists, street violence, protests, and well, in this case, Pizzagate, because the restaurant, which is called Comet Pizza, is located in DC, and it's very popular among people who work at the Capitol. It's just a popular pizza place. There's nothing particularly special about it. And the reason why Pizzagate is such a scandal is that it escalated when to the point that one particular conspiracy theorist took up a gun and opened fire within this pizza restaurant because he believed that he was going to save these non-existent children that were in this non-existent basement, allegedly.
Yeah.
This was, keep in mind, this was before QAnon actually started, but this was like the genesis of the ideology when his manifesto, I guess you would call it, became widespread across the internet. So, with that said, I feel like I also need to disclose something to the audience and also to our guests. Some of you are probably aware that there are many connections between, well, alleged connections between Trump and QAnon. We'll get into the specifics of that in a bit, but I feel I need to point out that QAnon are not your typical Trump supporters or Republicans. They're not your normal rational conservatives. These are violent extremists and fanatics. They are dangerous. They have a history of violence, and they are currently, I believe, the largest online conspiracy theory. And it started online, it snowballed. Now you see people walking around with Q t-shirts, placards, etc. Just a few days ago, a little bit of a personal anecdote. Emily and I saw a person in Costco wearing a QAnon t-shirt.
Hmm.
Furthermore, and that's also, QAnon claims to have hundreds of thousands of followers, which is, it's difficult to nail down specific numbers because the numbers used as evidence are official memberships and their social media or their Telegram channels. One of their Telegram channels has over 100,000 followers. There's another one that has over 300,000. There could be many more that are just sleepers and lurking.
Now, my question to you is, with that, would we be able to go and consider anyone that subscribes to that as an actual follower, or are these just people interested in seeing the world turn on fire and they just kind of want to have an insight on it?
Well, that's entirely possible too, and that's actually something else we're going to get into also toward the end, because we're going to reach a point where we see QAnon kind of devolve a bit, but I'm not going to, let's not get ahead of ourselves quite yet, but definitely put a pin in that. Now, as for what QAnon stands for, what they believe is that they believe that there is a secret satanic cabal of pedophiles that are controlling the government behind the scenes in something that they call the deep state. And they also believe that this cabal is responsible for all the modern evils in America: poverty, racism, etc. And kind of like Daniel touched on earlier, if you think about it, you can kind of see why people would be drawn to this thought process, because it's a simple answer to very, very complicated, messy questions.
It's the bad guy,
Mm-hmm.
the BBEG that we could point the finger at.
Absolutely.
Why think when you can just follow?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because Grim, I feel like you unintentionally kind of echoed a popular QAnon slogan. Is this one okay,
Oh, yeah,
producer?
that one is okay.
Okay. A popular QAnon slogan is where we go one, we go all.
That's news to me.
Yeah, you'll hear that one.
I'm like, wait a second.
You'll hear that one, and you'll often also hear, usually in a hashtag, follow the white rabbit.
Also, a very simple one that seems innocent. Hashtag save the children.
Mm-hmm.
Which, to any bystander, who doesn't want to save the children?
Exactly. And that ties
Don't
back
take
into the whole...
security.
Yes. It ties into the whole pedophile cabal conspiracy. But anyway, we do have a lot to go over. Sorry, not sorry for the tangents, folks. But, hopefully we'll have enough time to get into a little bit of fun bit. Particularly a little bit of QAnon weirdness involving a very strange man you may have heard of by the name of John Mcafee.
So I saw you make a face, Grim. John McAfee is. Have you heard of McAfee?
Antivirus.
Antivirus.
Yeah, the second after I said no, I'm like, oh wait, I remember hearing about it, and that hit
From
the news.
my understanding, he committed suicide not too long ago, correct?
Yes, in a Spanish prison.
Hmm.
And there's hopefully we'll have time to get to that. But without further ado, let's dive into some other popular QAnon conspiracies that are floating around even to this day. And as Grim mentioned earlier, that Trump will bring in a new age of prosperity for America, but it also just so happens to be one where Democrats and leftists would be hanged for treason or arrested. Yeah.
So a dictatorship.
Essentially. Also, they claim to have a video of Hillary Clinton executing a child. And for the record, journalists actually have checked, because due diligence being an amazing thing, no such video has ever been found.
Oh, imagine why.
I because they're very good at keeping safety deposit boxes, obviously.
Ah,
Ladies,
yes.
folks, that was
Oh.
sarcasm. Please do not take that out of context.
That's gonna be gifted before the end of this episode, and it's gonna be a problem.
That's
But you're
for the
good.
premium subscribers. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Oh my!
Now, anyway, and also they believe that Trump knows and is working, or was working, to take down this secret cabal with something that is a Q team, a team of specially selected intelligence agents and military personnel, to send out secret messages and put a stop to the cabal. And everything from Trump's hand gestures, like one time he made a hand gesture that vaguely resembled the letter Q. I think he was just pointing, but yeah, whatever. Because it's all coincidence, but that's the problem, because another slogan you'll hear in the QAnon crowd is, there are no coincidences. Mm.
It seems like that's a very convenient way to make things sway to your favor.
Mm-hmm.
That just sounds like conspiracy theory 101.
Yeah, that's fair.
Basically, yeah. Furthermore, they also believe that JFK Jr. is still alive. And, and they also, by the way, semi-recently, they ran wild with a controversy over Hunter Biden's laptop, claiming that he slept with a Chinese agent, and that was proof that the Democrats are trying to destroy America.
Which we do have to mention that has not been proven one way or the other.
Yeah, that has not been proven. No evidence of Hunter Biden sleeping with a Chinese agent has ever been found. Hunter Biden's story is a very sad and very tragic one, and
he's not an innocent person by any means.
No, definitely not. But he is not the monster that they are making him out to be either.
Correct.
Now, and for a little bit, there are some people who thought Q itself was an elaborate leftist prank, an attempt at trolling. Now, researchers and journalists did look into the leftist groups that were thought to be responsible. All of them denied it, and actually were able to present evidence about how it was not them. So, almost certainly not a leftist prank. So that said, I mentioned secret messages. So, these secret messages are commonly known as Q drops. These are basically social media posts by Q. I'll say themselves. By Q themselves. And it is supposed to be 100% official. The first Q drop was in October 2017. But at the time, he wasn't known as Q. He was known by the name of Q Clearance Patriot.
Quick question, what is a drop? What do you mean by drop?
Well, it's essentially a post or a comment.
Info drop.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. And sometimes they're just a handful of words. Sometimes he goes on lengthy diatribes. We actually have a couple of quotes from Q drops that'll come up later.
Well, you had mentioned before I asked, I apologize.
Sure.
Clearance Patriot.
Yes, I was just about to get into that too.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Now, as for what Q clearance is, it is a real thing. It is a level of government high clearance for top secret access within the Department of Energy.
No.
Yeah.
I've heard that before in other broadcasts. Why did they specify Clearance Patriot for Q clearance?
Q is claiming to be a government insider who is, leaking this information to the public to hopefully start the storm. And we'll explain what the storm is in a bit as well. I realize I'm foreshadowing a lot. And I do apologize, but there there's a lot to go on. But
It's
back to the origins of Q.
welcome to the conspiracy theory side of this channel, everybody.
Mhm.
Put on your seatbelt because the ride gets bumpy. I can see it in Fran's face, but please continue.
Oh yes, get your push pins, get your string, and get your favorite corkboard and maps.
I'm ready.
Okay, good. Because guess where QAnon made its first appearance? The dark side of the internet.
4chan?
Yep.
You shitting me?
Because of course it was 4chan.
I didn't
Well,
even
okay,
come
then.
out like that. Really?
Yep. Specifically on the /poll/board, which, a little bit of context about the poll board, it's only exclusively political posts. But because it's 4chan, it's extremists of every stripe. Fascists, the far right, communists, tankies, you name it.
Oh,
Quick
boy.
little side, tankies are authoritarian communists. I don't want to go into that too much because, yeah.
I would also like to say, for those who aren't
That's
aware
for
of
another
what...
episode.
Yes,
It could be.
4chan could be an entire episode on its own.
That we
Going
won't go
into the
into.
history of the movement and everything. But for those who aren't aware, it's a forum with many different channels in there for different discussions.
It's all anonymous.
Yes.
So that's another too.
But there's things in there like as wonderful as Catterday, which I was a part of before discovering the horrors of that 4chan had to offer at a young age. And there's illegal material found on here quite frequently. And Mute, the creator, has been working with
The federal
authorities
government, FBI especially.
on a regular basis because
Oh.
of it. So just so you know what a little bit about 4chan.
Yeah. Now, as for that first Q drop, I actually do have the quote right here, and this is the first Q drop, which I will be reading verbatim. Notice the bizarre kind of paranoid tone that this is. And this was, oh, and by the way, this was in response to the Mueller investigation when it was really starting to go off. HRC extradition already in motion, effective yesterday with several countries in case of cross-border run. Passport proved to be flagged, effective 10/30 at 12:01 a.m. Expects massive riots organized in defiance in other fleeing the U.S. to occur. USMs will conduct operation while NG activated. Proof.
I'm assuming HRC is Hillary Rodham.
They probably love to call her that. HRC is Hillary Rodham Clinton.
Yes. Okay.
Anyway, proof check. Locate an NG member and ask to if activated for duty 10/30 across most major cities. POTUS will not go on TV to address the nation. POTUS knew removing criminal elements was first step to free and pass legislation. End quote.
You know, I was listening to what you were saying, and you probably could reread this, and I've read your notes briefly just to check to make sure it was coherent. I still don't understand this quote.
It's
at
bizarre.
all.
But in a nutshell, what they're saying is that Hillary Clinton is going to be arrested, and that there will be something of a patriot uprising. Yeah. And just for the more future context, also, patriots is often what they will refer to as, fellow QAnon believers more often than not.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway. Now, there hasn't been any evidence whatsoever that the original Q was a government insider at all.
So contradicting his earlier point.
Absolutely.
So my question is Q a person or a group of people?
Yes.
We're going to get to that very, very soon, but you know what? A little tease. Yes.
Oh no.
Great.
Nailed it.
Nice and
we-
ambiguous.
We're starting this one off strong. Okay.
Yep.
Oh boy.
Now, how do they know this is Q and not just some rando that's shitposting.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Q always makes sure to use the same trip code
Mm-hmm.
whenever he makes a drop.
Yes.
Now, what a trip code is it's defined as the hash code of a password used for signing posts anonymously. Think of it as an anonymous signature or a fingerprint, just in code form.
Can those be stolen? Can they be used by other people?
It's possible, but very difficult.
It is totally possible.
Yeah.
Not to a normal user though,
Mhm.
but if a
Well,
coder,
because
yes.
I sure shit couldn't do it, but it was just kind of out of curiosity.
Yeah, me either. I believe you could, Em.
If I had a book telling me step by step, yes.
Well, yeah.
I am not savvy enough to be like, I know how to do that. I know someone that might be, but
Now, as for the identity of Q, it's believed the most popular and most accepted theory among journalists and researchers is that a few different people have been Q. But the very, very first Q, the original Q, was a South African conspiracy theorist by the name of Paul Ferber. And we're going to get into Paul Ferber in a sec. Now, Paul Ferber is a far, way out there conspiracy theorist from South Africa. And it's extremely difficult to get any solid info on him. He refuses to speak to the media, the news, anyone. He's paranoid. He does not trust them. And, Ferber also claims to be the owner of the domain name CBTS, Calm Before the Storm. Which, again, that phrase again, the storm, it keeps coming up. Which, Calm Before the Storm is entirely for all things Q and QAnon. And, well, it's believed that he started at 4chan, then from there moved to another website called 8chan, which, again, we'll also get into. Then eventually created his own board. Now, Ferber is strongly believed to be the original Q, or one of the first Q. But if not, he's definitely in contact with the original Q. Now, Ferber himself, the evidence we have is that Ferber was kind of an admin on Q's websites, and he, as a website admin, would verify Q drops, the Q trip codes. He was the one who said if these were real or not. Also, it's worth noting that the early Q drops were very similar to his own writing style on Twitter, which, by the way, you're not going to find his Twitter. It got deleted.
Shocking.
Ferber has even appeared on Alex Jones' show InfoWars, which Alex Jones could be an entire episode one day.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, Ferber, however, and this is why I say one person and multiple people, Ferber claims that his account, and for that matter, Q, was actually hijacked and thus no longer legitimate.
Okay.
So he's basically saying that QAnon from 2017 is a different person now. That account was stolen by someone else. But here's a question. How could he know that if he, wasn't directly connected to Q? Or possibly even Q himself?
There's a few ways in my mind it pops up.
That's why it's not 100%.
So, with being admin, it would make sense. If he was truly admin, it would make complete sense that his story would be legitimate. With admin privileges, and I believe we had talked about this before, he had contacted the service saying that he had been locked out and has emailed.
We'll get into that.
Okay.
And Ferber also has a very similar writing style to another popular conspiracy theorist some of you may or may not have heard of by the name of Steve Pechenik. Now, Steve Pechenik is very alive and well and still very active, and a regular contributor also on Alex Jones' show. I'm telling you, one day, Alex Jones episode. It's gonna happen.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, Steve Pechenik is he's a character. He claims that the Clinton family are running the deep state, and he also claims that he was a consultant for Henry Kissinger back in the day, and that he helped get Trump elected.
That's incorrect. I don't think he ever even met Harry Kissinger, right?
Again, there is no there's no evidence there.
I was gonna go and say because I actually know a little bit about Henry Kissinger. That guy's full of. You know what? Please continue. Let me not go and cut it, dude. Jesus, I need a drink.
It's gonna be like that the entire time.
1 sec, sorry, minor technical difficulty. Where is that thing?
Take your time. I think we all needed a refresher there for a second.
It's number between 3 and 4 before Ferber claims to be the owner of CBTS board.
Let me lean in.
And then just click that link. There you go, sir. Sorry, I created his notes for him. Like he had 46 pages written down on paper.
Yeah.
And I had to transcribe that down. And then it literally had like, this is related to this topic and this topic is related to this topic. So I made links inside this document for him.
Wait. Back to the show.
Sorry.
Ah, it's fine. Don't be sorry. I couldn't have done this without you, to be honest. So, now what happened to Q on 4chan because Q is not there anymore? Well, Q got kicked off of 4chan. Because believe it or not, 4chan does have rules. It's not completely the wild, wild west. Q got in trouble for raiding other boards, basically posting where he wasn't supposed to, and generally being a pain in the ass. So, yeah, he got kicked. And to this day, 4chan in general is actually extremely anti-Q. Like, you will get possibly banned if you show support for QAnon on 4chan. However, Q claims that they actually left 4chan. He dumped me. I broke up. It's all very, very sad.
Well, dude, I can't that I was the one who did it.
Exactly. But they're tenacious. They ended up moving to a new website. Have any of you ever heard of 8chan? Not you've heard of 8chan already.
Passing, I believe so.
I've only heard of it in whispers because I try to stay away from some scary things.
That's fair.
Fair enough. Because
Likewise.
well, we're gonna talk about 8chan a little bit. I know there's a lot. This is very dense. 8chan was created by a web developer by the name of Frederick Brennan, and he was the founder and owner of 8chan. Who his goal was to create a free speech haven on the internet. And he basically wanted the format to be like a cross between Reddit and 4chan. So the threads would be easier to follow and such. Now, let's go back in time a little bit to 2014. Frederick Brennan is a web developer. 8chan is sadly losing money at this point, so he is approached with an offer by a man by the name of Jim Watkins. Now, the offer Jim Watkins made was impressive. Yes, Daniel, I heard.
Isn't that the actual owner of 4chan or
not 4chan? 4chan is username Moot. His real name is.
I actually don't remember his username because
I've always referred to him as.
Because I'm a hack and a fraud.
Then I don't even worry about it. Oh, go for
it. And Treasure Mad says that she wasn't aware people could get kicked off of 4chan. Yep. Yeah. You just have to piss off the admins. That's the only way, really.
Jesus.
But anyway, Frederick Brennan was made an offer by Jim Watkins back in 2014, where Jim Watkins losing money. Frederick Brennan losing money. Watkins offered to help run the server and wanted to team up and form a partnership. There would be a 60-40 monetary split of all profits from 8chan, and Watkins would take over hosting, but Brennan would still be the proprietor and owner. Now, to sweeten the pot, Jim Watkins even offered to include a free live-in nurse for Frederick Brennan. And just for context, Frederick Brennan is physically disabled, so that would be a huge help for him.
Oh, so he really, really wanted this place, I see.
Oh, yes.
I wonder why.
Now, this is a huge deal because Watkins had the funds to keep 8chan running for a while. And Jim Watkins and his son, Ron Watkins, they describe themselves as free speech absolutists. And they're part of the reason why 8chan went from a little bit of a quirky message board with maybe some shit posting out a little out of hand to a complete shit show. Yeah, because you see,
technical term. I see. Yes.
yes, you see, because Jim and Ron Watkins figured it was a good idea that since we are free speech absolutists, can I use that term?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm glad you asked after the fact using that term.
Oh no, there's a different term.
Oh, yes, you may.
Okay, the thing that.
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, folks, I have to get KG Twitch terms of services and all that. Basically, because they're free speech absolutists, they figured it's free speech. Why not allow child porn? Yep.
Yeah.
Is okay. Please continue.
Yes, continue to break us,
Yeah.
Francisco.
Which is ironic because Q becomes popular courtesy of 8chan, which had actual child porn on it.
I hate the world that we live in.
Yeah, Jim Watkins, however, was a bit also a character. Grew up in Washington. Joined the Army at age 18 as a helicopter mechanic. And he was sent to Virginia to learn computing courtesy of the Army in 1987.
There's a hub right there, so...
Oh, yeah. And while in the Army, he was a bit of a pioneer. He launched some of the first ever online porn sites. Yeah, he actually made himself a tidy little profit that way. Anyway, 1998, Jim Watkins leaves the Army. Shortly after that, the dot-com bubble bursts.
Now, what is a dot-com bubble burst?
Well, in the late 90s, early 2000s, people were investing left and right in internet-based companies and internet-based businesses, which caused a surge of inflation in that little corner of the market.
Understood.
It got out of hand and sudden depreciation in value.
Understood.
Like Bitcoin.
Oh, yeah. Now, when the dot-com bubble bursts, Jim Watkins does what a lot of these people like to do. He moved to the Philippines. Yep, Jim Watkins moved to the Philippines, where the American dollar goes a long, long way, especially in the sex industry, which he is, according to Frederick Brennan, obsessed with. And while in the Philippines, he became a pig farmer. Yes. He should have stayed a pig farmer.
Well, Henrien Kimmler was a chicken farmer before he became head of the Gestapo, so there's that.
That is true. Isn't it the case that he was able to breed the perfect white chicken?
Oh God, I don't even know. But let's not fall into that rabbit hole. Let's not chase that one.
That's a different episode.
Oh, definitely. Anyway, back to, and that was just for context on Jim Watkins. Keep him in mind because we'll be seeing a lot of him.
That damn pig farming bastard.
Anyway, so back to Frederick Brennan because he's very important to the story. Frederick Brennan, founder, former owner of HN, oops, spoiler alert, tried to get Q shut down once they started popping up on 8chan. And also, once he partnered with Jim Watkins, he noticed Jim Watkins was a bit odd. He honestly believed that Watkins was trying to get a bit senile, because in real life, he was out loud saying QAnon conspiracy theories unironically. Yeah. And it's worth noting that, by the way, that 8chan, if you try to look for it, you're not going to find it. 8chan has been completely removed from the internet. Their servers completely shut it down. And, well.
But I'm sure that this is all part of the plan.
You hit yet another famous QAnon slogan. If something goes wrong, something goes, they didn't expect, they tell each other not to worry because it's all part of the plan. Brennan has, ever since leaving 8chan, has become an anti-Q activist, and you can actually follow him on Twitter, and he regularly guests on podcasts and will talk to the press. We will have a link to his Twitter in our Discord if you'd like to give him a follow.
Oh boy.
Yep. Now, we've been going on for a bit. Things are getting a bit dense. Maybe take a breath. Sounds like a good time for an ad break. What do you think, Madam Producer?
Absolutely.
All right, we will be back in a few minutes. Digest all this, because I promise this is only the fucking beginning.
We'll be back in just a few moments, everybody. Get some coffee.
Hey everyone, thanks for tuning in so far. If you're liking what you're seeing, please be sure to follow, and also be sure to subscribe to us. Make sure you link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, and that way you get the sweet basic bucks and you don't have to pay a penny. The other best way to help support us and treating you is to support our Discord channel. Joining there, you'll get news, our links that we have, joining on our D&D one-shots that we have. We have open applications for games that are going on. It's a great community. We are really starting to come up in numbers. We're almost at 100 members now, and we are centered around a community. We're LGBT plus community and accepting all creeds. So we do have a plethora of segments for you to enjoy. So on Sundays, every other Sunday is Decompressing with Zenaris right before Something Wicked, and that's every other Sunday at 1 p.m. Eastern. And following that immediately is Something Wicked This Way Comes, and that starts at 2 p.m., which is, as you can see, with a variety of guests and the news broadcast style segments that we delve deeper into the world of wicked things throughout history. Sunday evenings, join T-Wall in T-Wall Plays as he plays through a plethora of games. Join him and his virtual self that has amazing outfits as he plays through games of all genres. Mondays, new to Mondays, Vampire the Masquerade, the Highborn Thief Let's Play, Tabletop RPG. That's Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern, premiering the first episode of our Vampire Masquerade Let's Play. The storyteller is our own, frankly, me. Join us as we introduce our characters and explore the city of Milan in 1990. Starring Cheshire Mad as Victoria, a bundle of magic, Frankenpuss as author, the Private Eye, Grimm as Felix, the unpredictable smuggler and informer, Tewal as Raoul, a fierce Viking wrestler. Zenaris as Wagner, looking to become famous in his undeath. And Pat Tunis, who is looking for his lost treasure and battling customer service. And frankly, the almighty storyteller. Tuesdays and Thursday afternoons, join me for map making tips, where we make awesome custom maps for our campaign Legion, Vampire the Masquerade, which is premiering tomorrow night, and The Adventures of Frostford coming soon. A Discord special only on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern in our Discord Tavern 1. Join the Mystery Players gang as we go hunting down objects of power. Oops. That in the wrong hands could destroy the world. This is a Discord exclusive, starring Frankenpuss as Gibson, the Butler Warforged, Frankly as Siegfried, always messing with the DM roles, Cheshire Mad as Eliwick, who gets away with doing whatever the fuck she wants, Dances with Shakes as Little B, always up for making a new friend, and Tealwall as the almighty DM. Thursdays, D&D Legion Let's Play at 8 p.m. Eastern on Twitch, right here on our channel. Our online Dungeons & Dragons 5e Let's Play series, DM'd by Zenaris, as we explore the Underdark and the city of Ilazul. Starring Frankenpuss as Wilbur, the Artificer, Frankly as Rory, the danger-prone druid, Fructose Corn Syrup as Maha, who is the most mighty sorcerer, and speaks in third person. Cheshire Mad is Lonnie, a goddamn hero. Dances with Shakes as Hilda, refusing to stand down and lover of sweets. Tealwall as Elephas, and that has a mysterious bond with Hilda. And Zenaris, the almighty DM. Fridays, Watch Us Die is returning this Friday. Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, we invite our Discord server to come play games with us, and we die quite often, hence the title. If you're interested in joining us play games, or just to hang out with us, join our Discord server, and in the Watch Us Die channel, we'll let you know what we're thinking about playing. You can even recommend titles to us. Last Thursday of every month. This month in particular is going to be a D&D one-off Halloween special. It's the last Thursday of this month at 8 p.m. Eastern to 10 p.m. Eastern. Calling all D&D fans that are interested in joining us for our Halloween special D&D one-shot. This Halloween special will be featuring one of our most seasoned DMs, Tealwall. If you're interested in participating, please make sure that you fill out an application in our game, application on our server. Message Frankly or Tealwall if you're interested in joining us for this broadcast. All potential player spots are limited. You must have a web camera for your face, mic to capture your clickety-clacks and voice, and must have access to a computer where you will have access to the maps and your character sheet, and a quiet place to play. Returning soon, the B-List. Join Frankenpuss as he plays B-rated games, the worse the better. And who knows, he might find a few hidden gems. Go to the B-List in our Discord server to vote and earn Maha coins for the next upcoming games. Maha Mondays, Wednesdays, or sometimes Sundays, with Fructose Corn Syrup, where they'll be playing PC game Minecraft Java with friends and family. Matanzo Speaks. Join Frankenpuss, and he'll be sharing some of his vocal exercises as he stretches out his vocal cords for voice acting. Come on by if you're interested to see some of his professional voice acting training in action. And finally, Asipu Zenaris. Join Zenaris, reading the abridged Herman Melville's Moby Dick. He has brought down the 800-page Moby Dick to 300, so you don't have to have 3 paragraphs about a beard. It is a glorious paragraph about a beard, no worries, but he's made it a lot easier for you guys to listen into. So those are all things that are going to be happening on our channel. We hope to see you there, and check out our Patreon account. We've got digital stickers available of Maha, and we've got digital downloads of all of our maps. Thank you guys. We couldn't do this without you. To start, we were learning how to transition between our scenes, so with that, I want to thank everyone for coming to Frankfurt.
Mother of, I don't know, what would be a Viking way? I'm insult. You, scourge, yeah, you coward. You scourge the bottom of my boot.
My mouse to move it slightly.
Play that in real life? Absolutely, 100%. I wish I could do this in real life. Because I can do it in theory when on simple things, but like on my homework and studying, I do it the hard way. My ADD just kicks in. It's like, you're going to do this one thing perfectly.
Scanning.
Sorry, dangerous.
Yeah, it looks so nice, but it's really misleading.
Welcome back, everyone, to Something Wicked. For let us all take a moment and prick our thumbs. Something wicked this way comes. Today, our host Francisco is leading us on the intrepid rabbit hole that is QAnon. Strange that we've added it into our conversation about cult, but it seems that Francisco is doing the foundation work for that assessment. With that being said, Fran, take it. And please, don't be gentle. Let's hurt them.
Hurt us, Daddy.
Oh, no. Fine,
Oh,
how about
no.
this? One more thing about Jim Watkins that I forgot to mention earlier.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Okay.
More.
Yeah. No, just one quick thing that this is fun. He used to run an online talk show called The Goldwater. It was, well, you know what? I'm just going to read a quote from Jim Watkins on this show that I found verbatim.
Oh no.
Where this is a lovely little monologue he had in the camera, which, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, non-binary people, I listened to this quote a bajillion times, so I'm going to try my best to read it in his cadence the way he said it.
Great.
Lovely. This is what he said on the Goldwater. We have to see more and more of the president in the wild, where he is actually changing lives and literally spreading love. Can't you see that? His love for our country is overflowing. Instead of spending his golden years enjoying the fruits of what he planted through his life, he is spending his fortune, and quite honestly, we all know, the last few years of his good health, helping you and I keep our country great. This is real patriotism. It is genuine love of our country. The news is disreputable. This is why we need to have more of the president speaking and doing, and just being a lovable American guy we all enjoy. God bless our president and the United States of America. End quote.
So I read this.
I feel like I need a shower.
He did say in that weird sing-songy dream voice, by the way.
So I read this, and I had no idea that's how he spoke.
Yeah.
It just improved that paragraph. Because
I want you all to kind of get into that mindset that we just heard, what sounds very reminiscent of what a torture video would be like right before the serial killer gets you. There's no way out. We're just all gonna sit down and watch the president in the wild and hunt man, the most greatest dangerous game in the universe. Oh, Jesus Christ.
I feel like that was a nature documentary just describing
Just
the president's.
Gone bizarre. Yeah.
Yes. You were gonna say something, Grim? Sorry.
When Planet Earth takes over political commentary.
David Attenborough just shaking in his boots, listening to that. It's just, oh no. Just like,
Oh, I see the sweetie on the bed
Aw.
behind you.
Everybody take a moment to enjoy Sweetie.
We need this. In
He's a
this...
lazy dog behind me who sometimes faces me, sometimes doesn't, depending on what he wants.
And I agree, Treasure Mad, I agree.
That was super slimy.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Jim Watkins is not acting alone, or does not act alone. His son, one Ron Watkins, is also very active in all of this. You can usually identify him. He goes by the username Code Monkey pretty much everywhere. And here's a fun thing about Code Monkey. He was an admin on 8chan for a while, and later on, another website which we'll get into in a moment called 8kun. Now, yeah, there's a lot. 8chan gets shut down. what's Q going to do? A new website pops up called 8Kun, that is Kun, which, by the way, the website is still up.
Mm.
Oh,
I'm
Yeah.
sure it's full of pleasantries as the other one was.
It absolutely is. I had the displeasure of actually looking at the website. It's not pretty. Don't, if you value your brain cells, don't go. That's all I will say on the matter.
We will not be posting the link to it, but if
No.
you want to do your own research, that is up to your discretion.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Now, this is where things get a bit interesting. Because you see, Ron Watkins was also the admin of 8Kun. Q moves to 8Kun, and effectively, well, something strange happened with the Q account there. If I could just find it in my notes. Ah.
Use the navigation side to jump.
Right here?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see if that's me. Apologies, folks.
What are you looking for?
The hijack.
Oh God.
Yeah.
someone hijacked Q?
Yep. So right here we go. Got it for you.
Did you mean to rhyme you with Q?
Ha! You can read it off my computer.
Now I'll do it off of here. There you go.
Mm-hmm. Right here. It is under Paul Ferber.
Gotcha. Whoop.
There's not a lot of notes under it, but there it is.
Yeah, there you go. Now, rewinding a bit, the original Q is widely believed to have been a man by the name of Paul Ferber. Now, here's the thing. Paul Ferber claims that that the Q account was hijacked by someone else. So, it's no longer legit, as I said earlier. But how would he know that? But anyway, as for the actual hijacking, well, here's what happened. Let's go to 8Kun real quick, and here's what happens. Out of nowhere, Q starts posting at the admins asking for security confirmation because they're having trouble. They're showing evidence that somebody was trying to hack them. So the admin, long story short, long convoluted technical story short, borrows the gets security codes from Q to have full access. You see, Emily's cybersecurity is kicking and going, what? No.
If I may, so most likely, so for those who aren't aware in the IT world, they have programs that you can buy to crack passwords. That's why double authentication is so important. Because if I were to open up this program and I click enter to start it, thousands of passwords have already been attempted in the first 5 seconds. And yes, your computer is going to get super hot. It's going to heat up your apartment. But within an hour, any basic password is going to be cracked. Especially if it doesn't have two-factor authentication on. So for someone that has this program, it would be relatively easy to do, which is horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't need to take someone with an IT background to do, but for someone who is a web developer that was able to be honeypotted,
Yep.
is embarrassing and so sad and horrifying because it could happen to anyone.
Yeah. So while the queue is being hacked, basically the admin decides, okay, I'll help you fix it. And well, he essentially, secures the queue account. Everything is all hunky-dory, and the queue board is declared to be compromised and shut down.
In your notes, that's horrifying.
Yes, but here's the thing, you see. Paul Ferber immediately started sounding alarm bells that the Q account was hijacked by someone and such. All evidence points to the administrator, Code Monkey, Ron Watkins, effectively stealing the Q account.
Yeah.
So they steal the account to do what exactly?
Oh, they are now Q. Allegedly.
Do they deny it, or are they?
Consistently.
Ah,
But yeah, Jim.
But there's proof of them stealing it then.
Well, it's not 100% because digital evidence is tricky. It's easy to fake.
it's easy to mask your IP address with certain programs. I'm sure they're being smart if they haven't been able to prove it yet.
Good God.
Mm-hmm. So, Jim and Ron Watkins, the evidence seems to show that they stole a Q account and ran with it and started making their own Q drops. Now, there is more evidence to support this too, that the Watkins family, as I'm going to, when they're both involved, I'm going to refer to them as Watkins family, are involved with this. Now, some of the evidence is a little shaky. Some of it is pretty damning in my opinion. Watkins, both of them were pretty much obsessed with the original Q, and for that matter, Paul Ferber's conspiracy theories. And also the current Q, and also something that's kind of fun. Something that Q and the Watkins family have in common that's a bit niche and oddly specific. They're both obsessed with fountain pens. Yeah, see, Jim Watkins especially is a big aficionado of fountain pens, and his YouTube channel has over 100 videos on fountain pens. Yes, he has a YouTube channel. Yes, it's still active. We are not posting the link to that.
Oh, just what does he do with these videos of pens? Like,
Mostly it's just pen reviews, and then out of the blue, he'll throw in a conspiracy theory and then keep on talking about the pen.
Is he talking? Like,
yeah.
Oh God.
Like there'd be a close up of him at a desk writing with the pen, talking about
how beautiful it is.
Yep.
This is nice. The lizardmen are coming.
Yep.
Is nice.
Now, and also, interestingly enough, Q posted several images, close-ups of like a hand writing with a pen.
Uh-huh.
The desk and pen are very, very similar to a desk and pen seen in some of Watkins' videos.
Oh, so circumstantial.
It's a bit circumstantial. But... maybe the evidence that they both really like yoga?
What? Yes.
No, not solid enough. Okay. Checking my notes. Oh. Okay. How about this? What if I told you, Morpheus sunglasses, that the IP address for the various Q websites and HN8Q, run by the Watkins family, are at the same server?
Oh.
Yeah. Oh.
Okay then.
Then how can you say that it's not theirs if it's coming from inside the house? It's just like
you don't know. Someone broke in and posted from their computer.
Like someone broke in and made a server when we were on vacation. We swear.
Absolutely.
We were out in the Philippines. We were doing our thing, with the cheap sex workers, and well,
the pigs did it.
Whomst among us has not had our home broken into and had a server set up?
It happens to
That'd be
me
really
all the
random,
time.
It'd be kind of fun though.
I hate it when that happens. And
Minus the breaking in part, the server part be neat.
Yes. Ah, don't touch my mic.
Sorry, audience. That probably was loud.
Yeah.
So where are we right now?
Right now, the Watkins family have apparently taken over Q. And they started posting as Q, keeping the conspiracy rolling.
This poor guy. Wait a second. This poor guy. He's in South Africa. He's like, I am the original Q. This is amazing. Everyone's believing my conspiracy theories. And then it's stolen from him. And he's like, come on, guys. This is my account.
Oh, and something that reminds me. Sorry, producer. I did not include this in my notes, but I think it's worth mentioning because I think it's kind of funny.
Mm-hmm.
Paul Ferber tried to bring back a new Q account called Big Dick Anon.
Uh,
Oh, great.
It's still a
I-
thing, but it never got anywhere.
Okay.
big dick and none.
Now, yes, but you know,
There's nothing about that I don't hate.
but shifting gears for a sec, real quick. Grim, you're very knowledgeable of history, particularly World War II. If you
I
could,
like to think so.
well, it's simply, putting it kind of simply, like in a nutshell, what do you think is caused Hitler and Nazism to flourish in Weimar Germany? Just a quick nutshell. I realize that's a dense topic as well.
Just, I would say from what I remember, the failing economy, and through that, the desire of being able to piggyback the idea that the economy is failing because Entente powers basically took away our things that were ours, and put and placed all these fees and such on us that were absurd to begin with.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Now, question: how did the people there would have known killing is wrong? Why did people just allow it?
Wait,
That is the power of the code.
Hmm?
we talking about in Germany?
Yes, I'm asking.
Remember.
I'm asking specifically with Hitler. Like, why would the people just go along with it?
And the fact you had to ask that question is a bit telling, no?
Mm.
Well,
It's
think on
a
it.
cold personality, wasn't it? That's my understanding, basically. But
You
between,
gotta.
because he's a very good, because while he was a nutcase, and to a large extent, he was a very good speaker.
Mm.
He was a nutcase to us from the outside,
Yes, let me.
but when you have been browbeaten, domestically decimated,
Yes.
when the mark was literally worth nothing, and you had someone come out and do the whole, you know what would be good? Strong Germany. We have
Mhm.
to be strong like Krupp steel and all these other things. Sure, of course. All of a sudden, our military is fighting back. We're building a military that we're not even supposed to have. We're starting to go out and get food lines. And then all of a sudden, we have fun stuff like, oh, there's a Volkswagen car, which was actually made by the Reich to be able for every German to be able to have a car for over 2,000 Reich marks because every German needed to be driving.
Mm.
So all of a sudden, we went from shit farmers to actually being a strong economic power. But then one day somebody just say, you know what's good though? Genocide. How you guys feel about that? I don't feel too good about that. But it's going to make us a better Germany.
It's gonna make us better because they're the ones to blame for our weakness.
These are the bad guys. The Jews did all that. And then all of a sudden, good, decent people are thinking, wait, you're right. We didn't have anything to eat nothing but a few years ago. But you did that. You made us strong again. I can eat now. My kids can go to school. And all these other guys that had the jobs and businesses, we took them back because they belong to the Germans. And then you go in for the real swing. So hey, everybody, guess what? We're going to open up these concentration camps. We're going to put all these bad guys in there, and everyone's thinking, I don't know about that. It's fine. You're just soldiers. You're just doing what you're told.
You only followed orders.
Only
That's one of the,
following orders.
if I remember correctly, that's one of the biggest things from the trials is, what's your excuse? We're only following orders. What?
So, friend, does that answer that very?
I did it in a nutshell. He's much more elaborate and fanciful
Yep.
about it.
And both are definitely tie into that because you see this is where all starts coming together.
It all coming together.
All coming together.
You see, think about your typical QAnoner. They're probably sad, lonely, bit depressed from, well, everything. And enter 2020, lockdowns, everything, it starts really going off. You have lonely, isolated, afraid, desperate people who wants somebody to save them. Q shows up online telling them, I have the answer. And it's so simple. All you need to do is follow the white rabbit, to use their terminology. And then before you know it, well, we start seeing stuff like Florida SWAT officers wearing Q patches standing next to Mike Pence. Do we have a picture of that? Yes, producer?
I can get one, yes.
Oh,
I
Jesus.
did
Don't
not-
remember that.
I did not realize you
Seems
wanted it on the...
Seems like something that happened in Florida, though.
The producer was not
Well,
prepared for this.
no rush on that, but we'll put that up in the Discord definitely.
I can get it up.
For reference, I say that as someone who's lived in Florida for over 2 decades, where interesting things happen, like in a much more open scenario than other states.
That is fair.
And also we start seeing things like another contributing factor also, sorry, forgot to mention this, was we start seeing on the very, very far right extreme and kind of an eroding trust in the modern media, which I would argue to an extent we kind of saw in Weimar Germany too. We can't trust them. Trust the leader.
Fair.
Funny how dumb is always the other guy, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
So they start turning to alternative media. Shows such as InfoWars, for example. I gotta do an Alex Jones episode one day, I swear. Their isolation, being alone, and then they're meeting online in groups. People are confirming each other's biases, saying, you're the smart one, you are special. In the cult world, we call this love bombing.
mm.
Now, producer is making eyes at me. Apparently, we have that picture of Pence with a QAnon SWAT member ready to go. And here it is.
You gotta be shitting me.
Where's the patch?
It's right over his chest plate. Like right,
Okay.
yeah, right there.
Okay,
Red
So the-
I
Q.
see it.
Okay.
I was looking at the camera the whole time. I'm like, that is the cue.
Yep.
There we go.
Fantastic.
Okay, yeah. Well,
Fantastic.
That is cool and good.
Cool
Again,
and good.
sarcasm, folks. Also in 2020, over 70 U.S. congressional candidates were involved with the Q movement. And also, we do have a link available for this, which will be in our Discord as well. Well, actually, we're not posting it here. It'll take too long because we are a little pressed for time. We will post it on our Discord where, during an interview, Donald Trump was asked about QAnon, and he refused to denounce them. Now, in the interest of fairness, and to be completely fair, he didn't explicitly approve or praise them either. But the lack of condemnation was all the QAnon crowd needed to understand that as a blessing.
Now, do you think he was truly aware of QAnon and that was a purposeful move? Or was he just ignorant about QAnon and didn't want to make a stance without knowing?
Based on his comments, I think he had a general idea. He said that he didn't know much about them and that they apparently liked him very, very much, but he didn't want to really commit to condemning them without knowing more. We'll have that video link in our Discord.
One thing that I think is very smart of Trump is he's been able to take pretty consistently any news, even if it's bad news, and turn it around and make it good publicity for himself with the right.
Oh, yes.
All fame is good fame.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
that's
And
just
one
part
of
being
the-
a politician.
What was
One
that,
of the
Grim?
big things.
What was that, Grim?
Yeah, just saying that's part that I always see that as just being part of a good politician, like him or not.
That is fair.
I think we also need to kind of keep in mind one of the things that we should and I hate the terminology of always, oh, they're just like the Nazis, just like no. But we can think about something that Hitler does say, the big lie.
Mm.
People believe the big lie, not the little lie, the big lie. Right.
It's so big, how could it possibly be false?
Exactly.
Mm.
There's
Which it's funny that you mentioned. There's another parallel with Nazi Germany. You mention it. January 6th. Most people call it a coup. Technically, the proper term is a putsch
Eh,
because they weren't military personnel; they were civilians. Therefore,
I was going to say a coup is done by them, and I'm so glad that you made the distinction because just when people call it that, it pisses me off. It's a goddamn riot by a bunch of civilians that had no fucking clue what they were doing.
now here's the thing about January 6th. The reason why I'm bringing it up is Q was heavily involved during the January 6th putsch or riots, whichever you prefer. Q slogans were regularly chanted around the Capitol building. Q paraphernalia was seen everywhere, and one prominent member of the Q movement, a woman by the name of Ashley Babbitt, was shot by Capital City police trying to storm the Capitol building. She unfortunately did not survive the gunshot wound. And small tangent, but relevant, I promise. The QAnons were trying to martyr her as part of the cause, but that didn't work out. So January 6th happened, and that could be an entire episode because it only took about an hour and a half to 2 hours or so,
Mm.
but
Oh,
a
that was
lot
such
happened.
a shit.
A lot
Yes.
happened. 5 people died. Yeah.
I do want to go back and say something to what Daniel had said, that there was a ton that people, there was no one there that knew what they were doing. It was just a bunch of rioters. I want to say that there were some key people there that actually laid down fundamental planning. The peacekeeper, not the
The-
peacekeepers.
the Oath Keepers.
The Oath
Wait a
Keepers.
second.
The Oath Keepers, Alex Jones.
Alex Jones was there January 6th.
Like, there were some people there that legitimately had done planning, and these rioters that were just there for protesting were a large instrumental tool for these people
Mm-hmm.
because they expected them to react in certain ways.
Several neo-Nazis were spotted as well, and if we get too much into the weeds, this will become a January 6th episode.
True.
It could become its own freaking episode.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
The aftermath of January 6th leads to hundreds of people associated with this whole clusterfuck being arrested by the feds. Q accounts are massively purged by social media, especially Facebook and Instagram. Shortly after, Twitter followed suit. Anyone even remotely associated with Q got purged, which is why you're not going to find the Watkins family or Paul Ferber, for that matter, on Twitter anymore. And so what happened to Q? Because January 6th putsch failed, Biden gets elected. What happens to Q as a movement? Well, a lot of them lost faith. Just kind of did the whole, oh crap.
We've been lied to.
We've been lied to. We've been had. Others doubled down, tripled down, and getting booted off social media. They ended up migrating to Telegram. Now, Telegram, just for a little bit of context, is a messaging app, completely uncensored, free speech friendly. They are neither good nor bad. They are what they are. They existed long before Q. They're just an app. We're not trying to drag Telegram through the mud for this. But Q is very much flourishing, alive and well, on Telegram. And speaking of Nazis, on Telegram, Nazis are trying to infiltrate the Q groups now. Because the way I see it, we have this group of sad, lonely, gullible people And if we just take our Nazi ideologies and spin them as Q talking points, they'll buy in. Now, some of them are rejecting it, flat out going, what? No. Some are kind of going, wait. Maybe this Hitler guy wasn't so bad.
Just hearing that sentence out loud.
Yeah.
This
So-
reminds me of a joke afterwards.
They're also, a lot of them claim that they're still following the plan, and they're even doubling back and trying to decode old Q drops to see if they missed something.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, there's no longer any more drops, so all they have to work with is.
Yes, thank you. I forgot to mention that. And another thing, the Q drops stopped.
When?
December 2020. There has not been a single Q drop since.
And that oddly aligns with the Watkins fleeing back to
Yeah, they were stateside for a bit, I believe, and that timing coincides with them moving back to the Philippines and moving some servers around and such, but they haven't posted since. Quick little update on the Watkins family. They are still very much alive and well. They are currently trying to run a cryptocurrency scam, I believe, allegedly a scam. And they're also pushing Christian fundamentalist ideology and other, sundry far-right conspiracy theories. Now, as for the Q itself, they've kind of sort of split into two groups now. We have a group of people that for shorthand, we'll call the Stop the Steal crowd. They basically believe that the Biden election was stolen, rigged, and that Trump is indeed the rightful president, which Ron Watkins has actually expressed support for. He's not directly involved, but well, here we are. The other camp is one that are claiming that the Patriots are in control. Yeah, you see, they believe that Biden's win was actually allowed by Trump and Q, and that Trump is secretly still president behind the scenes, and one day he will actually just swoop in and retake the Oval Office.
kind of seems to be doubling down on no such thing as coincidences.
But all of this is a bit nuts, so this is a dark episode.
It is.
I know.
It is.
And unfortunately we are about to get a little bit darker. Because some of you might be asking, what does Q want? What is their ultimate goal? What is their end game? Yes, Daniel. Oh. Well, in that case, Q's end game. Well, independent journalist Jake Henrien, the main source for all of my information here. I will be posting a link to his podcast, Q Clearance later, which is also the main source for this write-up.
And then also all of his sources as
all-
well.
And also, yes. And also his media company and his Twitter will also be posted. Anyway, and quick context, Jake Henrien is an independent journalist, used to work for Vice News, went independent, and he formed his own company called, let's see, the parent company is Coup d'Etat Media. Popular Front is a subsidiary that he also currently runs. Now, with that in mind, according to Jake Henrien, the scenario that he pieced together is based off of over 2 years of research into the QAnon conspiracy theory. What he thinks QAnon's ultimate goal would look like is this. These are his words, paraphrased for time. It would start with a successful revolution, and thousands of military cells would storm government buildings. Any politician who doesn't support Q or Trump would be arrested. Democrats would be doxxed, and Q supporters would be armed to detain them. They would then storm the White House with military support. Biden would be shot on sight. Trump would retake the Oval Office to great fanfare. Voting machines would be seized and burned. all Clinton properties would be seized and Hillary Clinton would be arrested and detained. Q flags would be raised over federal buildings, and liberals and leftists would be shot or arrested, or any who refuse to submit for that matter as well. TV stations would be taken over to announce Trump's return to power, and enemy politicians would be publicly hanged in front of the White House lawn, presided over by a kangaroo court presided over by Lynn Wood. Yeah. Thoughts? Grim?
Odd. This weird conspiracy. Quite happy it didn't happen.
Definitely.
Yes.
like, uh, like the second he started saying, like breaking into buildings and immediately arresting people, immediately made me think of obviously Nazi raids, but also like some Soviet raids when during purging and such.
Yes.
Yeah, I see that.
It's like, yes, we want to be associated with Stalin and Hitler. How could this go wrong?
That's a really fair point. It just, what they're describing, it sounds like the fall of democracy. It sounds...
Indeed.
The establishment of a fascist state.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. It's horrifying.
Oh, am I up?
Oh, absolutely. You know, you're...
Eyes of war are upon you.
I will
for the
always,
rest of this
I will always
show.
pause for people to jump in.
I want us all to kind of take a second to just kind of. It was a lot to take in,
Mhm.
and I kind of want us all to just kind of think about what we've heard today.
Oh, we're not
And-
done.
Wait, there's more.
There's more.
Like,
I'm gonna keep it to myself then, and let's
it's
go.
like,
Let's,
oh, shit.
We've got time for the fun bits.
Okay.
And on the...
Because
Ghost ability.
I realized that got seriously dark.
Quite.
That got a bit scary. So to lighten the mood, we're gonna talk about John McAfee.
McAfee.
John McAfee. That's another person we could probably do an episode about.
He has lived a life, like 20 lifetimes in one life.
Yeah, there's like not gonna name drop, but as a very close acquaintance of mine likes to describe him, quote, he's like a real life living Grand Theft Auto character.
Yes.
Yeah. And now one giant allegedly for John McAfee, just for context, he allegedly formed an armed militia in Belize, abused several of his sexual partners, had sex with an underage girl. Sorry, let's call it. Can I use that? Can I use that word?
Yes.
The R word?
Yes.
Okay. Raped an underage girl, and let's see, may have been responsible in drug trafficking, drug abuse, weapons violations across international borders. And the funny thing is, you know what he was actually arrested for in the end? Taxes.
I was about to say, was it tax evasion?
Yeah, apparently.
Tax evasion.
We could do an entire episode
one-
on this
the
guy.
one thing that gets us all. Remember, everybody, Al Capone didn't go to jail for being in the mob. He went to jail for RICO Act.
That's
Yeah.
what I was
Arrest got
thinking.
him.
Now, yeah, taxes. Apparently, he was taking money that's supposed to be for taxes and putting it in cryptocurrency because, of course, he was.
Of course. No,
Allegedly.
Was it the same cryptocurrency that are tied to the Watkins brothers, out of curiosity? I have no idea.
Not that I've seen.
Okay.
But crypto's such a huge thing that,
That
it's...
would have been small world conspiracy, like...
Well, it's funny they mentioned the Watkins family and McAfee.
Wait.
Because...
I don't know. For context, I have no idea about this fun little blurb, so this is all new to me as well.
Okay, so for a little bit of context, and I sent you some images to post in... Yep.
Right now?
Yes. Don't worry, I'll buy you some time. That one, yes. Now, just wait for my cue.
Okay.
Wait for my cue.
Ah.
I'm
Wait,
kidding, I'm
there's
kidding.
more.
Anyway, now, before John McAfee died, he made a claim that he was not. If he was found to be to have committed suicide, that it was not suicide, it was murder. I actually found a screenshot of the tweet where he's describing this. And I am sorry, this is small print. I will have to lean in. My
Yes.
producer hates this. So this is John McAfee's tweet, verbatim, which I will be posting a screenshot of.
Well, we can also jump straight to go ahead and read.
Oh, okay. It's right up. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Getting subtle messages from U.S. officials saying, in effect, "We're coming for you, McAfee. We're going to kill yourself. I got a tattoo today just in case. If I suicide myself, I didn't. I was whacked. Check my right arm."
Okay, so first off, I don't understand the verbiage of this. Like, it does not make sense, like, grammatically at all, and it
Not
bothers
even
me.
English.
That's not the point.
But it
Like,
bothers
that's
me
not
so
proper English, damn it.
much. And then here's the other image for you.
Oh yeah, just have that ready because
Oh,
that's...
it's already up. I'm sorry.
Oh no, the other one.
Okay.
You know what I mean.
Fact.
Schwacked.
Schwacked.
Lovely.
Touch with the diamond, but crying. It looks like.
So
It's a bro thing. Don't even worry about it, Grim. It's
It's a what thing?
It's a,
McAfee's a bro.
Ah,
yeah,
Yeah, he's one of those guys. Yeah, don't even sweat
gotcha.
it.
no, I want to know more about this bro thing, Daniel.
It's like gym bros. Gym bros that get all the tribal tattoos that have no meaning whatsoever, and they go and they get tatted up of stuff like that.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Understood. Okay, I thought this was like, okay, never mind.
Now, is this next part ready? Because this is
Yes, it
this is where it gets fun.
ready.
June 23rd, after just a couple of hours after John McAfee's death, believed to be a suicide, and an image was posted on John McAfee's personal Instagram. Producer?
Boom.
Oh, boy.
Is he connected to QAnon?
Oh, here's the thing. You see, the QAnon crowd went ape shit. They lost their damn minds. They started digging through it. They started looking for code in the image. And they found the code in the image. They did. They did. Oh, yeah. The code was... I don't have it verbatim, but I have the first 4 digits, which are the most important one.
Okay.
First 5 digits. Those of you familiar with code are going to get a little laugh right away. The code was FBIG_5.
Oh my god, is it Facebook image 5?
It's Facebook image file code. That's it.
It's the name of the... Oh!
Oh, okay. I thought this was gonna go a totally different direction.
No.
honestly.
Okay, so for those who aren't in the know, when you save an image off of Facebook, like you click on it, you right click, save image, it'll come up with text already suggested for what the file name should be. It'll be Facebook, FB for Facebook, or like
IG for
Imager
Instagram.
or IMG for Imager, or Snapchat will come up as SPNC, something like that, and then it'll have a number next to it.
Yep.
That is its location number.
So it was just saved off of.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay then.
Yeah, Q was going on about how the image code was some sort of a dead man switch that would in the future release vital information about the deep state.
No such thing as coincidences.
There are no coincidences.
Okay.
Wait, are you talking about the supposed current Q or the past Q?
Current.
Which Q? Okay, I'm like, wait, which
I
Q?
mean, it could be
Oh
anybody
my
at this
God,
time and
that
moment.
was such a great question, Grim. Yes.
I'm like, wait
Fair.
a second. Is it connected to that too?
Okay. Tell me that this is over, that we're done.
Almost.
Oh God. Okay.
Almost. Because that...
One more thing.
Yeah.
Just like
Yeah,
thank you.
the friggin' file name. Investigators have looked into it. The most widely believed theory is that McAfee had a twisted sense of humor, and they believe that he gave his login information to a close friend to post that whenever he died, just to fuck with people.
I
such a
believe that.
It
Enough.
seems very much like a McAfee thing to do.
such a dick thing to do too.
It's very, very him. So we've now we are getting close to wrapping it up now, and we're about to get a bit more serious because we've laughed, we've cringed, we've had a little bit of everything, but we need to talk about why this is important, why this is a serious issue. Because people in real life have been affected by the Q conspiracy.
A lot of people lost their families.
Exactly, and one prime example of that is a survivor of the Parkland, Florida school shooting. Shortly after the shooting happened, his father got involved in the Q conspiracy. And according to him, his father is now claiming that his own son is a crisis actor, part of the deep state, and that the shooting was a false flag. And reportedly, this man is trying to trigger his own son's PTSD because he wants to see if the PTSD is real or if he's faking.
I mean, to trigger it, wouldn't that would prove nothing because it could have potentially just given it to him.
Exactly.
How does that work?
It's not a great.
That's a lose-lose right there.
It really is.
Several shootings have been tied to QAnon conspiracy theories. There was also one incident where, during the election, where a Humvee with a QAnon bumper sticker, with two men, was detained for weapons violations right outside of a Philadelphia polling station. Now, it's not entirely clear if they intended to do anything or if they were just patrolling to protect democracy. I honestly don't know.
We can't state without.
We cannot say one way or another without solid evidence. So we are going to leave that at that. And as I mentioned earlier, also Ashley Babbitt, who was shot and killed at the Capitol riots. And Q tried to martyr her, and they said that went badly. Well, the reason is the Q group themselves kind of 180'd and claimed that her death was a false flag to make Q look bad, and that she was actually part of the cabal, a deep state actor. So, what is to be done? You see, like we were talking about, Q fills an emotional need. It simplifies a complicated, messy, scary world. So, and with so many reports of people going down the rabbit hole, it's a bit overwhelming. And if you know anyone who might be associated with this, well, it's not much, but there is a resource. There's a subreddit called QAnon Casualties that their aim is to help people who have lost family members to QAnon. They are effectively an online support group for people who have lost friends and relations and such.
Lost as in off the deep end, not necessarily
Lost.
right.
So I'm gonna hold my opinions until we get to the end.
Yes, and we are getting there soon. Now, this subreddit was created due to many random incidences of families falling apart because of Q popping up. And one man, real name withheld, created this subreddit. And according to the admin of this subreddit, his forum membership, well, it exploded once the COVID lockdown started. And he understands, and he is a valuable source to help these people because he himself used to be a conspiracy theorist, but different kind. He was deep in the Illuminati conspiracy theories. So here's what I think. Here's some of my thoughts on this matter. We can't really afford to laugh at or mock or belittle or patronize these people. They're lost, they're scared and confused. And yet you approach with a blunt object, you're just going to chase them off. So talking to your friends and family is important because, that's how you save them. Because Q is going to talk to them. That's how they get more members. So, what is left of Q is smaller, but they are resurgent, they are more fanatical, and they are more dangerous, and are starting to become explicitly Nazi. So to help fight this, if you will, I suggest that if you see or know someone who you can talk to safely who is getting involved with Q, don't patronize them or laugh or call them names. Reach out to them, talk to them as an equal, try to distract them from their computer, limit their exposure to anything Q related, and just try to show them that they are cared for outside of the Q community. Because as mentioned earlier, people will sign on to fill a deep emotional need that they're feeling they're probably not getting at home. So if you can be that anchor, you might be able to save them. And if you're able to fill that need and possibly give them a healthy alternative, maybe you can just if not stop it, at least slow it down. Something to think about. What are your thoughts? Grim.
I mean, the overall thing or the last bit out of curiosity?
Either or.
Both is good.
Oh, honestly, I knew very little other than what I said in the beginning, obviously, so the conspiracy theory is really odd. Like, as far as I know, I don't know any one part of it. I'm very happy I don't. That would have
Yes.
complicated things greatly
Mm,
in an unfortunate manner.
yes. Well, I mean, one thing I see is just what the last bit that you said really resonates because and again, to repeat what Fran said, only reach out to them if it's safe to do so. And it's not your job to fix them. Know that.
Mm-hmm.
But just talking to somebody about it, I mean, we do not have the same political alignments at all, but yet we're able to have this conversation.
Yes.
Indeed.
Just talking about it. And the best medicine for this intolerance is tolerance, being around people that are not like you. That is the best way to help safeguard you and your family, your friends, your loved ones, is to create an environment where you're among friends that are different from you.
Mm-hmm. Daniel, you had some thoughts.
To close off, I humbly agree with what Francisco stated. I have had close friends that have gotten lost in these types of things. And it's easy. It's easy when you start to create connections with things that don't exist. All I can go and say is don't dox these people. Don't go looking for them. Don't do that. Arm yourselves with knowledge. Arm yourselves with truth. Give yourself the opportunity to listen, but develop something called combat empathy. You can hear it. You can allow them to let this information out. Do not let those feelings encompass you because that's how you get involved. Combat empathy is extremely important when we're dealing with these types of things because sooner or later, the deeper you get into a rabbit hole, the easier it is to fall all the way through it. And as someone who does a lot of bit of research in this type of thing, just like Fran did for this one, which excellent job by the way, Francisco, because God only knows that I couldn't have done it. I will definitely go and say I am in full agreement in the fact that I don't think they're bad people. I think they're lost. I think that they're very sad. And I think that they're looking for care in a way that they don't have at home. So, with that being said, are they truly wicked? No. Are their ends wicked? Depends on who you ask. And that really is the gist of it, isn't it? When we deal with something as something wicked, it's a lot. Everyone, do yourselves a favor. After this, go watch something funny. Maybe some puppy videos on TikTok or something like that. I'm going to go get some Mexican food with people that I really care about. That's going to make me feel better.
Good.
Because that was a lot.
Yeah.
That was a lot. And we talked about cannibalism on this goddamn show. Jesus.
That
Oh,
was
and
walking the park, relatively speaking.
oh, and I actually cut a
Cannibalism.
lot.
I don't doubt it. I have no doubt. But with that, are we ending today's episode? Let us all go and give a little applause to our narrator for today, Francisco. Thank you
Thank you.
so much for your time, and we deeply appreciate it. For all the links, the photos, and everything else. I absolutely loved it. You did a fantastic job. Better
Indeed.
than me, really. And I will go and say I'm humbled by your attentiveness and obsession with detail as someone who is obsessed with everything else. So everyone, thank you so much for being with us today. Do not forget that we are going to have an episode. It's going to be pre-recorded because we've got some things going on about the Zodiac Killer for Halloween, one of our more favorite little killers out there in the world, and the possibility of him actually finally being found out. With that being said, have an excellent weekend. Do something nice for yourselves, and let us all prick our thumbs. Something wicked this way comes. Thank you all so much, and have an excellent day. Bye.
Bye, everybody.